Hello, and welcome to the Let Them Live podcast. I'm Emily Burning, your host, and also the president and co founder of Let Them Live. We bring you interviews with unsung heroes and inspiring individuals who are in the fight to save babies, mothers, and fathers from abortion. Our goal is to amplify their voices and bring their stories to the forefront, shedding light on the incredible work they do and the lives they touch. This is more than just a podcast. It's a platform that allows everyone to share their pro-life stories and inspire us to passionately continue advocating for life. Welcome back to another Let Them Live podcast episode. I'm Emily Burning. I'm the president and co-founder of Let Them Live. My other co-founder is sleeping. He was up all night working, but I'm super excited to be recording another interview. I keep changing my background a little bit. I'm not quite sure exactly where I want to be, but I thought this was a pretty good view for today. So I'm really excited, you guys, for what we have coming up. I have a couple of, including today, recording this podcast, and then a couple others. And then I'm taking a little bit of a break because I'm going to be traveling so much, but I hope that we can keep it just continually coming. So today our guest is named Della, and Della Bright is a homeschooling mom of 4, which I know that has got to take patience. So I'm interested in learning more about that. And she's so passionate about the pro-life cause and the movement. And she cares for her, let's see, in addition to caring for the family hobby farm, I got to learn. So you guys are on a farm. I got to learn about that. She spends her time writing novels. So you guys might have seen on our promotions or partnerships, pushing her books out because proceeds have come to Let Them Live before. So she's also planning to continue publishing those. And she's also created a website, Instagram page, which I'll have to get so that you guys can go visit. And she focuses on encouraging women to be fruitful both inside and outside of the home. So I'm really excited. Thank you so much for joining us today, Della.
Okay, I am just getting started trying to jump into the pro-life movement and everything. And so right now I'm like at the beginning stages, but I just am full of passion and I feel very called to step in and fight in defense of life. And so I started an Instagram page. I have a website too, because like you mentioned, I haven't actually published my books yet.
Okay, that's right. I may have
writing them.
You may have sent me something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we were supposed to record a couple months ago, and so and then we had technical difficulties, and so I'm putting my nose to the grindstone to get them done. It's a series of 3 novels. If you want me to go into like how I was inspired with those, I can do that. That's what jump-started my desire to jump into the pro-life movement. So I am just very much of the belief, and I believe you share this, that we can all contribute to the pro-life movement using the gifts that God gave us. And my whole life, I was just validated in my writing, but I never had this huge desire to write anything. It wasn't like I grew up saying, I'm going to be an author. That's my desire. That's my dream. But one day I was reading some article from a news story. It was from a pro-life person. And they mentioned that the abolition movement did not really gain steam until after Uncle Tom's Cabin was published, which is a fictional book. And so when I read that, I was like, why have I never seen pro-life fiction? Because fiction has a way of allowing you to disarm people and take it a little farther, because you're not talking about a real person. So you can take it a little farther and really make people think and stuff. And so I had that thought. And at the time my husband and I had 5 years of infertility. And so I was feeling like purposeless, maybe like a week or 2 or a month, very soon after. I can't remember the exact timeline, but I read this other article. It was from the Daily Wire, and it was about an abortion doctor who found his way out of the industry and how his heart changed. And his story was so powerful. And after I read that, I am telling you, a story just kerclunked into my mind. And because it was so quick after I had that thought, where's the pro-life fiction? And I was feeling, what's my purpose in this season where I'm not a mom? Like my whole passion can't be poured into kids. What is my purpose? And this story just fell into place. And so I just sat down at the computer and was like, never tried writing or anything. But as I wrote, I really believe that God gave me this story, because just as I wrote, I didn't really have a clear direction. It was like the seeds of a story, but as I wrote, it just developed. And then it was amazing because 3 stories developed in the process. So it's a series of 3 novels. It's a cheesy love story because I wanna meet young women where they are, like women where they are, because women, we're the ones who have to really change our hearts on this issue because we're the ones who make the decision to choose abortion. And so we got to go after women, and women are engaged with like emotion. And so it's a cheesy love story. There's 3 novels. I
I
don't know
have
how all the
dramatic.
stories intertwine, but they have their
Nice.
own. That's how it is. So each story has their own narrative, but they are all like hints of the stories in the others. So and it deals with like different aspects of the pro-life movement. So there's one story that deals with a woman who makes the decision to choose abortion, has a regret, and just allows you to empathize with that and really,
Yeah.
really see that it's a real
Yeah.
thing. Gets in her head and
But I love this. I
oh
love that you
girl,
had this
yeah.
idea of how can we reach people? How can we get people to think? Because also we see today in books, in movies, I'm actually read a bunch of books and there happens to be a conversation about abortion. Even though it's not a book about abortion, it doesn't even take over the whole story, but it is interesting how now, and usually it's not pro-life, right? Sometimes it is, but usually like they weave in abortion into fictional stories. And it's amazing how abortion has just permeated our culture. Movies, for example, right? There's talk of abortion in different movies. So it's important to have the pro-life side of that as well.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I think that I'm gonna use right left language right now, but I'm not thinking Democrat or Republican. I don't wanna, like, contribute to, like, divide or anything, but typically, like, right leaning is more pro-life, left leaning is so if I use
Yep, I
right left
got
language,
you.
it's not in a divisive way, but yeah, like the left is really
Yes.
masterful at using culture to spread their message. And we on the right, like pro-life leaning or even like defending marriage and all those like lots of cultural issues that typically like Christians hold, socially conservative issues. We're not in the game as much. And I see things changing and I just feel very called. That's what I want to do. And so and I think you got to meet people where they are. Like I just, when I went to write my book and when the story developed, I thought about what did I like to read as a young woman? What did I like? And I was all about
Romance.
cheesy love stories. What Hallmark movies? What woman doesn't love Hallmark movies?
Yeah.
So sometimes when I'm writing the novel, I'm like
You're like, this is so
laughing to
cheesy.
myself as I'm
I love
pounding
it.
out this like cheesy scene. Yeah, at the same time, that's what women are like drawn to.
Wonderful. I
And so
really
we got to
like
meet
it,
them
and
where
I
they
think it's
are.
amazing, and I
Yeah.
remember because I wrote it down, but when we first talked on the phone months ago, you were like,
Yeah. It was
"Whoa,
months ago.
that you left me a voicemail, and I happened to call you back, and it all worked at the same time," and then
Yeah.
we talked a lot about there's a lot of misconceptions that
Mhm.
pro-lifers get. And I wonder if your book, and maybe you can talk to it too, but if your books like address any of the misconceptions that we see, which common ones like you're just pro-birth, or that's like the most common one, but how
Mhm.
through writing you're hoping to shift that narrative to show that we actually are
Mhm.
there for mothers and their children even after birth.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So in my novels, I particularly, I'm thinking about the first one. I address a lot of the issues that are like misconceptions, but just I'm try to be like very real but compassionate and have a compassionate heart with how people can come to be pro-choice. Like there are difficult things to work through, like what happens in cases of rape. And so I use the characters to like work through that and come to the conclusion that even in those tragic situations, it's never okay to intentionally take the life of an innocent human being, human person. Now, I am so passionate about combating the narrative that pro-lifers are only pro-birth, not pro-life. And the reason why I'm like, I feel very called to speak about this because my big goal is to get my novels published. But if you want to get a novel published, you have to establish a platform. And so that's what I'm trying to work on. I have an Instagram page and a website and stuff. And I just decided that I don't want to contribute noise just for the sake of contributing noise to get followers and stuff. If I'm going to be trying to grow a platform, I want to do something meaningful and purposeful. So the growth is really slow because unless, like, it's hard on social media unless you want to jump in
Right.
and feed the algorithm what it wants. And I just, that I wouldn't be able to sustain that. Like you said, I'm a homeschooling, homesteading mama. I don't got time to be jumping on and throwing reels up. So I'm like, okay with slow growth, but I want to have like meaningful things that I'm contributing. And so I shared with you, just to spark your memory. I don't know if you remember how we connected, but I have this idea. I have had this idea for years. I have just seen over and over again people say pro-lifers are not really pro-birth, they're only pro-life. And they say that because a lot of times pro-lifers are Republican, and Republicans are not as, they don't want to do government bills to support women a lot of times. And so it's easy to believe that. But what they don't take into account is all the work Let Them Live is doing that's not associated with the government, and pregnancy centers that are not associated with the government. But what we see is, oh, the Republicans shot down a
Yeah,
bill
that
that
happens
would
all
have
the
helped
time, and that
women,
is
sent money to
unfortunately, yeah,
women.
the thing that gets called out as, like, the yeah.
It's very visible. Yeah, it's what we see. Yeah. And this isn't, oh, you can't vote RD or whatever. But what I'm saying is that's what we're seeing. And pro-lifers will say, oh, but there's pregnancy centers, there's pregnancy centers. But that doesn't pack the same punch as actually like seeing the work that's being done. It's one of the reasons I love Let Them Live. You're like showing the
You
world,
have
you're
to.
showing the world that we love moms. And yeah, you have to show them, not just tell them, because what is it? Actions are louder than words. And so I had this idea that wouldn't it be really cool to, originally it started as, what if we like had a mom and we got an Amazon registry, and I posted on my social media and solicited people to buy it, and we tried to get it filled like really fast so that then you could come on and brag about, look at how fast we got this cart because we love this mom. But just logistically speaking, that kind of wasn't where I went. But I just kept, I was like, there's something there with this idea. So eventually, where I got was, I worked with a woman named Amanda. She has a company named Mama Sing My Song. It's just this adorable company where she writes personalized songs for your children. You send like information about your children, and she'll write you a personalized song. And so I got that for my children. And when I got them, I was like, these are so adorable. And I had this idea that, what if she wrote a song about how much we in the pro-life movement love moms and their babies, and just encouragement that I could send this song to a mom. And then it just kept on sparking, where I was like, okay. And then I could get on and I could solicit letters from my followers, where they would send letters to a PO box. And then I would get the letters and flip through them and be like, look at Connecticut, Texas, Oklahoma. Look at these women all over the country who took time to sit down and write a letter of encouragement and love to this mom. And then have a little package with this. It's got this little stuffed animal. And I just have this whole like little package that I would send. And so I was taking steps to do that. And I still am. I haven't launched it yet. We're working. I'm actually, hopefully, like we're
Yep,
working.
that's awesome.
I've been working with
It's so neat.
Claire from, yeah, and we're taking steps to get it done. But yeah, like the whole premise is that I want to be like, look at these letters. Look, do not believe this lie that pro-lifers don't care about you. These letters came from all over the country. There is someone in your community that wants nothing more than to
Yeah,
love you. So
see that
go out there and find
encouragement
them,
for moms. I mean, I've
kind of
seen it
thing.
firsthand with some of the moms
Mhm.
we've helped. If you just encourage them and you send them a letter, it's amazing what it will do for them, because a lot of the moms, they have that
Yes.
strength themselves. They have their own strength, but sometimes they need help pulling it out of them because maybe they've been kicked down. Like maybe they've just, their situation or their circumstances, or they don't have their husband or their boyfriend left them or whatever it is. And just to see that there's people that are loving and supporting them, it makes a huge difference for them as a person. And that really does show, like you said, we love that woman. We love her not just because she's pregnant, but we love her for her, and we want her to be successful and create even a better life for her kid so that her kid can make a better life for their, and it creates a generational ripple effect. So I think it's amazing, and I'm excited because this is just one example, you guys, of how we work with everybody to provide the support that moms need, because we can't do it all. Let them live. You guys will hear me say this over and over again. We need to work together in order to make sure moms have all the support that they need.
Oh, absolutely. I just wanted to give everyone in your audience, if you feel like you're nobody,
I do
I
too.
feel like that sometimes. I have hardly any but look at your story. It just grew because you just went for it. And something that I have learned and that I've been so grateful to find with Let Them Live is you said, you are like everybody, come on. We can all contribute something. And that was so encouraging to me because I've been trying to break in to be like an activist or whatever you want to call it, or just fighter. I would say just like a fighter. I want to go down. I think often about how we look back at slavery and we go, how could people have turned a blind eye to that? But aren't we doing the same? Aren't we doing the same? So many of us, we're just so comfortable and we're letting this take place under our noses. And I'm just like, I want to go down in history as somebody who spoke up and fought. And who knows what my
You never
work will
know.
do.
You gotta
I'm
take that
just getting
first step. I
started.
find that a lot of people, like,
And
in the pro-life movement,
first
it's
step,
not that they don't want to do something, I think it's just that they don't know how. And so sometimes when we're new to something and we don't know what the first step should be, we just end up pushing it away, kicking the can down the road. And so that's why my hope is that Let Them Live can continue to grow, because obviously we're a great resource for women and for moms, but this also fulfills the desire for people like you and me to actually do something about an issue that we're really passionate about. And for people
Yes.
like us, it's not enough to just say, "Oh, I don't really know what to do about it, so I'm just not gonna do anything."
Yeah. For me, this is an encouragement to people in your audience. For me, I would think, oh, Let Them Live is such a big organization. I'd look at your account and be like, she's got like almost
I haven't
100,000 followers. I
on
don't know
my
where you're
Facebook
at
in
or anything, but
months,
it was like
so
a large, yeah, but it was like thousands of followers, like where you get this feeling like, oh, she's not going to have time to reach out to me. But what I've found is that's actually not true. I believe that for a long, and I used to just be like, I'm not going to reach out to them because they probably don't have time to respond to me. But then I just did it a couple times and I was surprised to get responses back. And so now I'm like, I'm going to just reach out to everybody. I've got 5 million emails out, and the people who respond to me are the ones that I'm supposed to work with and move forward with. And it's just about taking those steps. So I'm still in the behind the scenes of a lot of the things that I'm doing, but I'm laying the groundwork so that I am ready
100%.
to go.
Yeah,
God
when
calls
he
me to
calls you, I
here we
get
go. It's
it.
go
Like,
time, girl.
you don't know what to expect sometimes, and something
Yeah.
that everyone can expect from Let Them
Yeah.
Live. It's always really hard because as Let Them Live has grown, Nathan and I are entrusting basically how we want Let Them Live to be to other people. So we're entrusting that other people are going to communicate the way that Nathan and I would. They're going to talk to people and be responsive and do everything the way we would. And sometimes that doesn't always happen, which is our own challenge. But with Let Them Live, everyone will have my phone number is out there in the ether for everybody and my cousin to have access to. So it's like everybody can connect with Let Them Live in some way. And if I don't know the answer, which not now 99% of the time I do not know the answer, I know who will have the answer. So it's great to hear that because it is important. This is a community of us. This is not just Emily and Nathan doing this work and that's that. No, like we need everybody on board because we can't do this otherwise. All of this is not just Nathan and I. This is all of us together.
It's so beautiful. I love seeing those. I don't think I shared exactly how we got connected, but it was totally a God thing. I was taking steps on this idea. And one day I was sitting in my office working on the project that I have. And I had my thought, gosh, how can I connect with Let Them Live? It seems like it would be such a wonderful organization to partner with. And I had that thought. And I was like, I guess I could like email, but who do I email? Do I just go to their website? I don't want it to get just lost in the shuffle. And I had that thought, and 10 minutes, 20 minutes later, I felt like this
I
prompting
remember
to
this.
clean out my
Yes.
voicemails. I'm a millennial. Are you a
Yep.
millennial? Yeah. So do you
Nope.
answer unknown phone calls? No. Does anybody in our
Voicemail.
generation? It's like straight to voicemail. And then
Yep.
you
Yep.
check to see, okay, was that important? So I usually check right away to see if it's important, but I had a million voicemails that it was like, okay,
Yep.
it's time to clean these out because I do that periodically. So I'm going through just checking to see which voicemails. And lo and behold, right after I was thinking about how can I connect with Let Them Live, I had a missed voicemail from you, Emily, from you,
I
from like
remember that.
2 months
Yep. I
before
remember you were like,
that I
"I'm so
missed,
sorry. I just saw this from 2
And
months
so
ago."
to me, when I saw that, it was like almost like God shielded me from seeing it
It
at that
wasn't time.
moment
Yeah.
because it wasn't his time yet.
Yeah.
I still needed it. And so then he brought it back to mind when it's go time. It's go time because yeah. And so, and I just, since then, I just feel like doors are just being opened. And so just that's my encouragement is to just take steps. Even if you feel like you're not getting anywhere, you might be laying the groundwork for walking through the door when it is open. You're ready to walk through the door when it's opened, is how I felt, because we're
Yes.
working like behind the scenes. Like I said, I'm working with Claire to get that song, that beautiful song, with like
Yep.
social media kind of graphics, because that is not my forte. I don't got time to make beautiful reels and stuff. And so your social media team is like helping me do
Well,
that. And it's been
I'm
just a
so
beautiful
glad, and
process,
I'm so
beautiful
glad you got
journey.
connected. Oh my gosh. It
Yeah.
really is such a God thing how you got connected to us and how I sent that and gave you a
Mm-hmm.
call and like left the voice and all of that. And it's really amazing because Let Them Live all started because of God's timing. And so I'm like just a firm believer in that. And now we're going to have
Yeah.
another way to have other people get involved and send encouragement and love and support to moms, which helps the moms so much and it helps the movement
Yeah.
grow, which is so important because someday we're not going to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Someday you and I are going to be
I know.
around.
I'm so excited for the future of the pro-life movement, though, because I know a lot of people rag on millennials.
I am a millennial.
I'm a millennial. Are you a
I'm
millennial?
95, so
I
I
think
might
so.
be
Right?
at the tail end.
People rag on us. Okay, people rag on us. Like I always see people ragging on
We
millennials,
are
but
dreamers.
man, we are
Yep.
dreamers. Millennials are dreamers, and we're
Yep.
like, it can be done. Let's do it. A lot of us, and so I just see so many people in our generation just
Yeah.
being happy warriors. I see a lot of happy warriors. And that's the key, I think, in the pro-life movement is to just keep
100%.
fighting
I
the good
think
fight.
you could just run this thing. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's such good encouragement. And I know that you talked about collecting like encouragement and letters from people. What is something, just my last kind of point, what is something,
Mm-hmm.
what would you want to say to moms who are finding themselves in a crisis pregnancy or unexpected pregnancy? I'm not sure what the wording is now, that just needs
Mm-hmm.
a little support. What would your like Cliff's Notes version of your letter be to a mom?
Mm-hmm. So a mom in a scary crisis kind of situation, I would just want to say I understand why you would feel scared. Like I completely understand that, especially if you feel like you are going to have to walk this journey alone. But don't feel that, because you don't have to walk this journey alone. I know everything in our culture is telling you that you have to walk it alone, but that's not true. There are people everywhere, pro-lifers everywhere, who want nothing more than the chance to help you, but they have to know that you exist. So go find somebody, go look for a pro-life pregnancy center, go to a local church. Maybe there might be like a local church. I've never encountered mean Christians to single moms, but there might be one. But don't give up. If you encounter one, I promise you there are churches that want to help you. So do not feel like you are alone. There are so many people that want to love
We're
you.
here.
Contact Let Them Live. There's so many organizations and individuals. If I remember correctly, Emily, you got started because you were just an individual who helped a woman.
Nope.
You didn't have an organization. So they're your neighbor, somebody in your community wants to help you. It would bring them the greatest joy. So don't feel like you're alone. God loves you. We love you. So go out and find those people who want to
I think
walk
that's
this
so
journey
good,
with
especially
you.
what you said at the beginning of, I can understand why you're scared. And I think a lot of times women need to hear that because obviously I don't agree with abortion. I don't think it's the right choice. I can see her mind. I can see why she's thinking that. I can see why with our culture, with her circumstances, why she's in this really scary situation and she doesn't know what to do. So I think that's a really key point that we have to continue as pro-lifers sharing, just seeing women where they're at, meeting them where they're at, and then going from there. And so I think that you have a lot of really awesome things with us and with yourself on the horizon. And do you have a date, like an estimated date that you think your books will be out?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes, I am. So I've completely finished one. It's been edited with just a friend, another connection I made on Instagram that was totally like a God thing. I was ready to walk through the door when it was presented. And so my first is edited. I'm really happy with it. The second is like a little over halfway. And then I'm working on the third. I want to get them all done before I publish the first. Cause like I said, their stories intertwined. So I don't want to have mistakes in the first one, but I am on target to finish my second by the end of February. Pray for me, people, because it's hard. I just am committed to putting my nose to the grindstone this year, and I'm hoping to finish the second one by August. That way, I'm going to be self-publishing just because I'm talking about a hot button issue, and I don't want anybody censoring what I feel led to say because it is a controversial issue. So I'll be self-publishing it and probably be talking with you, Emily, and people Let Them Live and being like, pump my book, because when you self-publish, you have to do your own marketing.
Well, I'll be praying for you, and hopefully everything goes on your timeline. And where can people find you too? I was going to ask, like your Instagram and then like a website that you can say too, because then people can find you.
Yeah, okay. So if you go to dellabright.com, easy to remember. And then I'm on Instagram, Della of the Fruitful Farm. You could find it on my website, my Instagram page. And then if you want to keep updated about my process on the book, because man, I will need a little army of people sharing about it, reading it. And if they believe in it, sharing with other people. Like, it's so amazing. Social media, there's so much bad things about it, but you can sidestep like the gatekeepers. And so we can get this message out into the world. I believe it's a very important message. So you can sign up for my newsletter. I'm planning to send monthly updates just to keep people like informed about where I am. And hopefully 2025, like beginning 2025 is when I want to just hit the ground running with getting these books out there. So yeah. And then stay tuned for the project we're working on. It's going to be coming.
It'll be on our social media. I'm sure
whenever
someone asks for updates, I'm like, check Instagram. It's probably all there. So I'm really excited. Thank you again for sharing just about what you've been working on and your passion for the pro-life movement and how we can work together to continue helping moms and saving lives, and the encouragement that you gave. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for everything and for letting us little nobodies jump in and contribute.
Honestly,
I love it.
because we all have a part to play.
Yeah.
We all have a part to play. And that's the point of this podcast. That's the point of Let Them Live, is all of us coming together. Many of us make up a big army. So all right, guys, we'll catch you next time on the next episode of the Let Them Live podcast. Thank you so much again, Della. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Let Them Live podcast. I would like to give a special shout out to Patrick at Moon Shadow Studios, who does an amazing job of editing our podcast. If you're ever in the need for a podcast editor, he is definitely the one to go to. Let Them Live is a Christian nonprofit dedicated to supporting women who are considering abortion primarily due to financial burden. 73% of women have abortions because of financial struggles, and we're here to help bridge that gap. Our goal is to provide the emotional and financial support these women need to feel empowered to choose life. If our cause resonates with you and you're interested in learning more, getting involved, or making a donation, please visit our website at www.letthemlive.org. One amazing way to contribute is by joining our Heartbeat Club, where you can become a monthly donor, and your ongoing support will ensure that we can continue helping women every single month. You can also follow us on social media to stay up to date with all the amazing stories and ways that you can be part of our mission. You can also find me on Instagram at Emily Burning. Thank you again for listening, and please join us for more upcoming inspiring stories and conversations.